Hello everyone, you are watching A Peep Into Me with Trust Nyawike, missionary and blockchain enthusiast. A Peep Into Me is just a program that shares Trust Nyawike's life experiences with the aim to inspire and bring about hope. I want you to stay tuned as you watch this episode today. I'm giving out this message to young girls in particular, and to some extent to men. While I was growing up in the secondary school, I had a crush, and she didn't end just as a crush. Finally, came to talk to her about my feelings, how I felt about her, and we became very close friends. And I had never loved a lady like was at that time like I did this particular lady, and we were so close during our secondary school life. So it came to a point where I was transferred um, out of the village, so I had to leave the village and school in a different town, while the lady too left the village and was schooling in another town. And so while we were far apart from each other, though we kept communicating, some other things came into play, and then the lady got attracted to some guys, and later on she got pregnant for that particular guy. The parents were very upset, and at first I was a suspect, and that is why the parents actually sent for me. Though I really never went, simply because I was that stubborn kind of a kid at that time. But it went wild to a point where the lady had to tell them exactly who was responsible for the pregnancy, even though the parents never believed that she was telling the truth, because everybody in the entire community knew that I was the only person who was that lady's boyfriend. And so what happened was that when the issue of the pregnancy came to a point where the parents were upset and they thought like we couldn't handle this anymore, they decided to send the girl out of the house. And so as they sent the girl away from the house, she was stranded and later got assisted by other family members who took her in and catered for her. And so because of this, the parents of the said guy who was responsible for the lady's pregnancy actually left and came to meet the girl's parents for marriage, meaning that they actually had to allow this girl to go get married to this guy. The parents of the girl actually refused. The girl brought the thing to me, even though at that time we had broken up, but I still had some soft spot for her. And I felt that it was unjust for her to simply go get married to this girl's guy simply because she was pregnant for the guy. So she came and met me, explained the situation to me, and I told her, see, being pregnant for somebody is not guaranteed that you're supposed to get married to the person, and it is not guaranteed that your marriage to this guy is going to be a successful one. So I will advise you, give birth to your child, take care of the child, and let this guy stay wherever he wants to be. If he wants to take care of the child, he can be taking care of the child wherever he is, not necessarily being your husband. Now, I'm bringing this up because that is one of the things that happens with most people, especially in village settings, where somebody gets pregnant for another, and because of that, they are forced to get married. One thing we should understand is that people don't have to be in love with each other to have sex. That's the first thing we must understand. And people do not have to be in love with each other for someone to be pregnant for another. And so because you are pregnant for somebody, it's not guaranteed that you guys can make a good couple. I'm not in effect saying that there are particular people destined to be husbands to particular people. But what I'm actually saying is that having kids for somebody is not guaranteed that you guys can make a good couple. So do not allow the fact that you have kids with somebody to force you into getting married to that person, and at the end of the day you live a life of misery, you live a life of torment in your emotions and maybe your well-being, simply because you're married to somebody you never wanted to get married to, but for the fact that you had a child together. Now, I also want men to understand, and families especially, because they are one of the major reasons why these kind of people end up together, because the family will say, okay, we've never dreamed that our daughter was going to have a child out of wedlock, and as a result of that you are forced to marry our daughter because you impregnated her. It is actually wrong, because sometimes these women end up in violence. They are being violated even in these homes, simply because they want to respect the decision of their families, or because the family do not want shame to be brought to them, and so they get into marriages they never would have gotten into if scenarios like that did not come into play. Therefore, in as much as I will advise that people should practice abstinence when they are not married. If you find yourself in a situation where you are pregnant for somebody, especially people you do not really love and never intended of spending your lives together with, please do not make that mistake of marrying that person. Else, you will live in hell while here on earth. Hello guys, I hope you enjoyed the video you just watched. Remember, my aim here is not just to share stories about myself, but it's to inspire people and bring about hope. And I'm sure that you got inspired by the video you just watched. I'm inviting you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to share this video to as many as possible so that they can also be inspired as well. Thank you so much.